Glycolysis. Glucose enters. NAD takes electrons and turns NAD plus into NADH. During glycolysis, ATP is made. Another NADH is made. And another ATP is made. We are left with, at the end of glycolysis, 2 pyruvates, each with 3 carbon atoms. We have the cell membrane and the mitochondria. Nothing has entered the mitochondria yet. What we're left with is pyruvate at the end of glycolysis. And after glycolysis, pyruvate moves towards the mitochondria. On its way to the mitochondria, NAD is reduced again into NADH. It gets excited. A carbon is stripped off of the pyruvate. That carbon atom is removed from the pyruvate, and that is the carbon dioxide that we exhale out, and we are left with acetyl-CoA, which goes to the citric acid cycle. The other pyruvate generated in glycolysis is also converted into acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA enters the mitochondria. Everything here is taking place in the mitochondria. Acetyl-CoA, with the help of an enzyme, forms citric acid and continues the rest of the citric acid cycle. In the citric acid cycle, we have NADH being formed from NAD, one by one, forming more and more NADH, this high energy electron carrier. In addition to NADH, we also have FAD, which gets reduced into FADH2. It also takes electrons off of our carbon, forming this high energy FADH2, which is used just like NADH. And it continues along enzymes in our citric acid cycle. In the process, carbon is broken up. And exhale, out goes another carbon dioxide. That generates ATP. One ATP is also made. And the last carbon from our pyruvate is given off. Our citric acid moves back to the beginning of the cycle, and our other pyruvate goes through these steps again. The acetyl-CoA joins with the 4 carbon, forming citric acid, and same thing happens again. Lowering the activation energy to produce these high energy compounds. We have a lot of hydrogen at the end of the citric acid cycle. We have ATP at the end of the citric acid cycle, FADH at the end of the citric acid cycle, and NADH at the end of the citric acid cycle. Inside of our mitochondria, at the end of the citric acid cycle, we have these high energy particles that are going to be converted into ATP along our electron transport chain. And these particles are going to be stripped of their electrons, and those passing electrons are going to be used to make ATP along ATP synthase. And go. An enzyme on the membrane strips off electrons, passes hydrogen out of the inner matrix of the mitochondria. Those electrons are passed down the chain. Hydrogen floods back into the cell, forming ATP. Same thing happens with FADH2. That passes hydrogen out. Hydrogen is pumped out. Then it floods in. ATP synthase allows hydrogen flooding, forming ATP. Electron transport chain continues, but passing these electrons can get clogged up. So we use oxygen as an electron acceptor. That keeps the chain moving, removing electrons from the electron transport chain. Without oxygen, electrons get backed up, they can't be passed along, and we can't generate all this high energy ATP. Every time an oxygen is used, it forms water. And the electron transport chain continues over and over and over again.
Stripping the electrons from these NADHs, pumping hydrogen out, and allowing hydrogen to flood in, forming ATP. The enzyme that converts oxygen into water. Woo! Evan Fritz, ATP synthase. Owen Best, hydrogen ions. Kristen Bowerman, ATP. Marissa Twig, FADH2. Ben Frankert, electrons. Oh, and NADH. Amy Martin, carbon and NADH reductase. Kaylin Goshi, FADH reductase and carbon. Holly Borgner, citric acid and oxygen. And actors, go forward.
Behind the camera, Mr. Darko, and that's a wrap.